talk about culture. Clothing tends to come from where? Yes. Okay. Clothing in terms of folk, and I'll probably do this. We'll do folk, okay, and then we will do pop. Okay. Clothing is going to come from the environment. Why? That's the only resource. Absolutely. Okay. What is the epitome of pop clothing? What does epitome mean, by the way? Here. Epitome. Epitome. Okay. Epitome means what? Anyone? Yeah, what does it mean? The definition of, absolutely, like the best example of. What is it? What's that? Okay, you're right. Absolutely. That's how they choose it, through occupation. You're absolutely right. And it's what? Jeans. Yeah, think about it. Like, teachers celebrate like Jeans Fridays. I don't know if you've noticed. Okay. It is jeans. You remember the whole idea of like the Soviet Union, people smuggling in jeans? Okay, that's a huge sign of pop culture influence. All right, so clothing is environment. Okay, clothing in pop culture is jeans, and Mr. Downs nailed it on the head. How do they choose when to wear those? It is based on your occupation. It's also based on what? Income. Whoa. And what else? Fashion. Yeah, trends. Good. Okay. But occupation is the number one. Okay, good. When we're talking about, for example, housing, what do the folk cultures use? Again, has everything to do with the environment. Okay, what do pop use? Trends. How can you tell when a house was created in a pop culture? Yeah, okay, absolutely. The style of the home, okay, dictates really when it was built. All right? A folk home really doesn't change over time. So this brings up that whole, do you remember the whole varies from time to time at a given place? Okay, which one varies from time to time at a given place? Folk or pop? From time to time at a given place. Pop. Pop culture, okay, varies from time to time. Think about it. Okay, Kansas City in 1950 versus Kansas City 2015. Okay, that is going to vary. Okay, over here you have varying from place to place. Good. So for example, we'll say Lancaster, Pennsylvania. If you see Lancaster, Pennsylvania on the test, what should you think of? Amish. Good. So Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 2015, okay, versus Kansas City in 2015, you are actually seeing not a variance in time, you're seeing a variance in place. Totally different. Good. All right, cool. Let's talk taboos for a minute. What's a taboo? Restricted behavior. Very good. What are the easiest taboos that we usually talk about? Food. Yeah, very good. I would argue that you're going to need to know a couple of these. Okay, I would say in terms of food taboos, you're going to need to know the ones that are linked to religion. So the avoidance of pork is going to be, okay, Muslims, okay, and then the Jewish population. I would agree. Good. Okay, what other taboo is there? Beef. Yeah, beef. Who avoids beef? Hindus. Very good. Okay, good. What about insects? Okay, yeah, Americans, and we are not the only one, for sure, okay, but keep that in mind. Okay, dog is another good example. Okay, dogs, Americans are like, no way, that's Fido. Okay, but in the Philippines, in Indonesia, okay, it's not really uncalled for. Okay, it's not seen as a bad thing. Okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to make sure that I have a couple other things. We already did that. Cultural diffusion, examine cultural clustering. All right, if I asked you for an area of the United States that uses fried foods, where would you say? The South. Very good. Why the South? Why would the South use fried foods? Yeah. Bingo. It's hot, right? It's really, really hot in the South. You don't want an oven on, okay, all day to create like a stew or something. You want something that's going to be hot just for a couple minutes, and you flash fry. Okay, good. That is the environment's impact on culture. That means people in the North are more likely to eat what? Yeah, slow cooked, right? Stews, okay, that type of thing that will actually cook all day and warm your home. Okay, so that's a good example of how the environment actually has something to do with our food. If I said people in Colorado would need what type of roof? A sloped, yeah, a pitched, right? Pitched roof. Okay. By the way, a lot of times they like to use the word gable. Do you guys know what a gable is? You probably do, you just don't know it. Okay. It's when you have like this little guy and then you have usually like a window underneath it. This, right, thing right here. You guys know what I'm talking about? Anyone? Can you kind of tell what I'm doing? Okay. Thank you. I'm trying. Okay. Those are gables. Okay. Again, they're going to make sure that they have, steep roofs. Good. All right. Let's see. Southwest might be built out of what? Okay, it would have a flat roof probably. Mud brick, adobe, okay. What about the plain? Sod, yes, okay. Now, do we use sod today out in the plains? No, why? We have like mass produced, right? Our homes pretty much look the same whether we're in Kansas City or whether we're in St. Louis or whether we're in Wisconsin, etc. What is the idea that because of the globalization of culture, you have the spreading of one culture? Okay, it's globalization is actually causing uniform landscape. Yeah, there you go. Uniform landscape. Okay, uniform landscape is the idea, that due to globalization, pop culture spreads. And places, they really lose what makes them sort of special. Okay, lose their identity. It is exactly that. If I were to ask for a synonym, placelessness. What is the response to placelessness that's been going on lately? Holding on to the special things. Very good. What do we call that? You're close. Cultural rebound's a really good example where you would maybe start to promote your culture a little bit more. You are seeking out globalization. The opposite of globalization is the idea that your place has something special to offer and it makes you different from everyone else. Do you remember local diversity? Local diversity, is that idea that, again, you're going to try to sort of look at the things that make you, distinct and different. I want you to look at an FRQ for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to put it up here. Okay. This was the FRQ question, 2003. Okay, and this was one of them. Remember, you have 3 FRQ questions. Okay, and this was one. So, A asked you to identify and explain one way that tourism has diminished regional landscape distinctiveness. B asked you to identify and explain one way that tourism has enhanced regional landscape distinctiveness. Okay, so I want you to think for a moment. Okay, what is one way that tourism has diminished regional landscape distinctiveness? Yeah, what do you think? Okay, good. So if you are, especially like purchasing things, you're looking for something that is probably familiar to you, and so therefore familiar to tourists. So you might have transnational corporations that show up rather than like mom and pop shops. Okay, good. I would agree. What else? Yeah.
I don't like to part of the computer. You want to know like a place that's really like yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Fast food, right? Restaurants and chains and things like that. Are they predictable? You know, right, pretty much what you're going to get for the amount of money. Okay, so you're not shocked or anything like that. Okay, good. What else? What's maybe a negative thing? Those aren't they aren't instinctively negative. What's a negative thing? Anna, what do you think? Okay, absolutely boring. Yes. Okay, one way that tourism has diminished the regional landscape distinctiveness is maybe like the mom and pop shops are gone now. Okay, what else? Jonah?
Well, what about how like in Kansas City, like tourists will kind of like say, oh, where's the cow shipping? Where's Dorothy?
Oh, okay. Good. Do you think that that would actually diminish regional distinctiveness or enhance it then? I think that tourism would then actually enhance the regional distinctiveness because what are they coming in with? Their own, right, ideas. By the way, what type of region is that? Vernacular region. Very good. Vernacular region. Okay, so here I want you just to see the scoring guide, okay? Here is, first of all, okay, what are they asking about? Well, they're asking about place and placelessness, which you guys know about, landscape, and what it means to be distinctive. By the way, if you ever get to something and you're like, oh God, I don't even know what that means, okay, again, look at key, okay, root words. Oh golly, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. Okay, so distinctiveness. Okay, think about what makes the landscape distinct, how tourism affects it, and then what you see in a landscape. So here we go. You got a point for identifying something, and then you got a point for explaining. So here, you could have said any of these things. Okay, everything becomes sort of standardized, which is the idea that it is predictable. Homogenized means that everybody can expect what? What is homogenized? Same thing. Uniformity. A couple of you pretty much nailed it on the head by saying things are going to be uniform. Sameness, placelessness, any synonym to that, and you got your point. Yeah. You can use it any way that you described it. Okay, what they were looking for is basically because they're saying identify, and that's where these words start to be really important. And it says to identify and explain one way that tourism has diminished. When you identify, generally identifications mean one word. So one thing, one way that tourism has diminished regional landscape distinctiveness is placelessness, sameness, uniformity. Okay, it's usually a just one word. Right, then you get another point for explaining, and here you guys also got these. Okay, hotels and fast food chains, infrastructure, airports and roads. Think about it. Okay, an area may not have actually had those. Okay, now it is no longer distinctive, right? There aren't like paths that are distinctive, or routes that you rode horses in on, or anything like that. You're probably going to have mass sort of infrastructure. Resorts and theme parks, trails, ski runs, etc., and then environmental degradation. What is degradation? Yeah, destructive. Okay, degrading means like to kind of pick apart. Okay, litter, pollution, and impacts on the wildlife. Okay, you got 1 point for a limited explanation. You got 2 points for extended explanation with appropriate examples. Okay, so now let's talk about the second part. How has it enhanced distinctiveness? For one, they could decide that they're actually going to preserve a place. Another one might be that they are going to now understand its uniqueness. So, Jonah, what you were saying about like stereotypes. Okay, and then another one is place marketing, which we're going to talk about in a second.